How's it going, everybody? It's Space Cowboy 17 here. Welcome back to the channel. In this one, we're going to be discussing the hiring of Paul Alexander and what it brings to the table for the Dallas Cowboys. For those that don't know, Paul Alexander was the now former offensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's funny because our offensive line coach went to Cincinnati, so in essence we swapped coaches. But what makes this extremely important, and a lot of people aren't really realizing this, I'm not trying to say that people are ignorant, but it's extremely important that I bring this up. Paul Alexander differs from our previous offensive line coach. I apologize, I forget his name off the top of my head. But why he differs from the previous coach is because Paul Alexander runs a power blocking scheme. The previous guy ran a zone blocking scheme, and you might be asking, well, what's the difference, Space Cowboy? Could you please, enlighten me? Well, for those that don't know, that there are pretty much two major blocking schemes for offensive lines. There's zone, and then there's power. Zone pretty much is more of a reactive scheme, in which basically it allows players to adjust to a blitz normally better than power, which I'll get into why in a sec. And basically, they are, in essence, assigned basically to block anyone that comes into a specific blocking path or area. Similar basically to, if you've heard the phrase man in zone defenses, zones are pretty much people just drop into some form of a coverage and they just cover whoever comes into their zone. Same premise, just dealing with the offensive line. Now, as for power blocking, power blocking is proactive. You might be asking, well, why? It's because you're assigned to block a person, and generally, you're going to go after them instead of waiting for them to move. So basically, to pretty much summarize, the zone is more or less you're waiting for the defensive line to react to you, rather than power where you are going at them and not waiting for them. So, just so you are aware, this is extremely important because I personally feel that the Cowboys running a power blocking scheme is very key to future development with our running, our running schemes. And you might be asking, well, the zone worked perfectly well sometimes, but here's my thing. The goal of an offensive line is to establish dominance over a defensive line. I personally think that based off of the physicality of our offensive line and how it can manage to quote-unquote maul people, even though you could argue that it's not really like that anymore, I personally think that us switching to a power blocking scheme will definitely help the way that Zeke runs along with basically the running game. And you might be asking, well, how? Here's why I think the power running scheme is going to work better than the zone blocking scheme. It's because the nature of the Dallas Cowboys run game is to what? Establish the run, run it down people's throats and maul defensive lines with our great wall, right? The thing is that, yes, with a zone, generally, it's much more easier to assign assign who's blocking who. But the thing is with power blocking makes it so that we, the offensive line, is more aggressive to go after the defensive line rather than us wait and block. Now, this also goes for passing as well. And this is also huge because normally, if you're a run-oriented team, preferably you would want a power blocking scheme. If you are a passing team, you normally want a zone blocking scheme. So I think that this is I don't know how good he is as a coach, but I can tell you that the switch up in the scheme will definitely impact us down the road. And I think that this hire could help us in the long run. I'm not going to say that he's going to be an amazing coach here. You know, that is up to the determination of how they play under this scheme, you know, this upcoming season. So, I mean, I have nothing really much more to say other than explaining what's the difference and what you might see change. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this small little short discussion, nothing long. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Down in the comment section below, get this discussion going. How do you think about the hiring of Paul Alexander? Good move, bad move? Or as well, what kind of scheme do you think the Cowboys should continue to run? Should they run the zone still, or should they run the power blocking scheme? Alright guys, that's been my time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure, again, to like and subscribe, and I will be seeing you guys later. Bye-bye, guys.